Oh boy, we are recording now. So now we can talk about all the,
Oh boy, oh boy.
unlike the illegal things we just discussed.
Yes, exactly. No
Exactly.
one needs to know about those things. Um,
That is
oh my
cool.
gosh.
I'm gonna put you here
So,
on my desk here. Yes, sir.
so I actually had a question. I dealt with this last night, but I want to get your thoughts on like how you handle it with your customers. So, for sake of the Q&A, I had a customer ask me to give, um, like for a lease option, what we estimate the per month would be, and I said, um, we wouldn't be comfortable giving a number out because it'd be a false cost without having all of the available numbers like for us to look at.
It would be a
So pretty
fault.
much,
Oh, for a lease option thing, you mean?
yeah. So I guess like you're more aware, like for the Cornish, Maine thing that we're working at. They asked for us if they could give us a good idea, an estimate of what like a monthly payment would be like for a lease option if we got that far. And I said we wouldn't be comfortable giving that number without having all of.
Are you watching me?
Yes.
Sorry. I'm just trying to get that sign in there. Yeah, it took me a while. All right,
Oh.
cool. I'm listening.
Oh. Um, so I just said we weren't comfortable giving an answer to that because what we would provide wouldn't be like accurate. It wouldn't be. It would be impossible to be accurate without having all the information.
This is the seller in Maine?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. No, we're able to I mean, once we're ready to go and execute, once we have those payoffs and we know and the title is clear that we can execute and take this down as an equity deal,
Yep.
Versus a short sale. At that point, once we know that, we'll put all the terms in front of her. We'll say,
Yep.
here's, we know we can, we'll buy this house. We don't, we'll buy this house. Here's the contract to purchase for this, but here's what we need to do. Like you can lease it back from us from this, and if you want to buy it back, you can, but this is the price you're gonna have to buy it back for. We now know that the price for her to buy it back is now lower than the 240. So if the ARV, and I do trust Kim, she might be a little conservative, but if she came back at 200,
Yep.
I would say that max we could probably get from the tenant would be 215 to 220-ish, even if it's in 3 years. So does it still make sense if they're willing to sign an offer with us at the 168? Absolutely. Right?
So I have a question on that actually, and just kind of like, I guess evaluating like future ARV and also evaluating ARV in places with little information.
Yes.
So like, for example, Cornish, Maine, there was 25 or 37 transaction over the course of a year for all houses, I believe.
There was, say that again. There's what?
I think there's 35 or 37 or 25 transactions. I can't remember the actual number over the course of a full year for all shapes and sizes of houses.
Yep.
So opposed to like the Boston market where like that's a day, possibly.
If there's enough houses, right?
Yeah, assuming that there's inventory, it's easier to figure out and be closer on your ARV. So for what we went through Kim to find an ARV, and my question is in the ARV she calculated at 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And in speaking with the seller, when talking with you as well, they're transforming the bottom into an in-law suite, which would make the house a 7-bedroom, 3-bath house, 2 full, 1 half, or 2 halves and 2 fulls.
I see where you're going. Yep.
Something
Keep
like
going.
that. So would that change the ARV of the house, or because of the like how desolate the area is? Desolate's not the right word, but just how like the little data there is on the area, would that transform the ARV to be more, or do you keep the conservative value so that you protect yourself as an investor?
So the answer, yep. But I'm going to address the in-law too. And you and I didn't go over this when she said that. I have a very strong feeling, about 98%, that is
Yep.
an illegal in-law that she's creating. right? Chances are she didn't go to the town to pull the permit and to even see if it could become an in-law, and she's building it out anyway, which is normal for sellers to do that because obviously she's doing it for her family, right?
Right.
If it's not a legal in-law, we can't even buy it as an in-law. And so we would buy it as is based on the current existing, what it is on public record. And then if we were to sell it, if the in-law is
Yep.
not legal when we sell it, which might not be, because we can go and try to pull that permit and they could say, hey, we didn't even know this was here, tear it all out. We then have to
Right.
sell it without the in-law. But
Okay.
going further, sorry, I can be in a soapbox. There's probably no comps. Like you said, there's no inventory up there or like enough volume of deals up there to pull accurate comps. I can guarantee you that there's probably no comps on a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath plus an in-law suite, bringing it up to 7 and this and that. So that's not, it's almost a wash of a value too, because now you have this huge house. It's called like the white elephant. Who's going to buy a 7-bedroom house, you know, or a 6-bedroom house in that area when nothing's turning anyway? So no, the answer would be I'm not even considering that in our buy or our resale price because I don't think it's going to be legal anyway. And whether it is or
Okay.
it isn't, it's not a plus on an ARV scale. It's a break even.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious about that and just like how you kind of assess that because let's just assume it's legal in Boston. That makes a big difference. But in an area where there's really nothing to compare it to, like you said, does that make it break even?
Right.
Because it doesn't
Right.
add any value.
The banker answer, right? The analysis answer is that, like an appraiser, all you have to do to figure out that value in a market that has inventory is just you pulling comps that have an in-law suite. What do they sell for versus what are the same ones that didn't have one selling for? And there's your difference, right? That's what an in-law suite is worth in that market. In this case, there are no comps. And even in Boston right now, you're right, it would make a sizable difference. That's almost a square foot number. People don't even care if it's an in-law or if it's a garage. If it's finished area and it's one more square foot, that's another $1,000 a square foot, whatever the stupid number it is at this point in Boston. So Maine doesn't matter. At least in this one market, it doesn't matter. She couldn't find comps anyway. And the comps that she found, it wouldn't matter. It's a break-even proposition for an illegal or even legal in-law. How's that?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
How are those beans?
That makes sense. It makes sense. There's nothing really, like there's value add here because it's more space in a crowded area, but for there,
Yep.
You can't see your neighbors for miles.
Yep, that is accurate. So cool beans, man. So yeah, we're waiting on and I hope you don't mind. Obviously this is the Q&A session, so this is probably going to be uploaded at 1:45. But we haven't really shared an address or anything. I don't know if that was sensitive to you, but the numbers are still strong. So if it's all about if she wants us to buy it, if she wants to still live there, we have an option for her, right? And we have our buy price, which it would technically go lower if we were looking for a full, 15% profit margin. But being that we're now making up some of that profit in the 3-year cash flow of the building and in the option premium, we're fine keeping it at that 168 if she's happy to accept the 168. And it's going to come down to that once the payoffs are in. But everything's all on her getting those payoffs.
Right. Oh, speaking of that, I actually had another question for you. And we're in this nice Q&A, and I have all of your attention in the world, so I might as well ask.
Go for it. Absolutely.
So obviously the seller is getting a little preemptive because they're anxious and stressed about the situation they're in. One of the questions they asked me yesterday was, is the term length for buyback negotiable? For example, they believe that an extended term length will help them build their credit up better. So like if they wanted to do a 5-year, is that negotiable or is it a 3-year?
Yep. So that's a great question. Typically what we tell tenant buyers, it takes them 2 years to dress up their credit to be financeable. 3 is a very realistic number in case they have a bump or 2 on the road, right? So if they miss payment, 3 years is a good solid time frame for them to have their credit up enough to be financeable. If they need to take longer than that, there's usually an issue with their own their own challenges in life where they're trying to not admit to us that they have poor credit, or they're not admitting to us that there's some issues. But it is negotiable. But the problem is they don't want to negotiate that, right? So right now we have a 3-year option to buy with a year-by-year lease that renews. And their option premium, I just threw it in the spreadsheet because it was a default number, was $5,000, right? Well, if they want to do a 5-year option, maybe that option premium has to go up to $10,000. Do they have $10,000 they want to put down now? Chances are they don't, right? Because they don't have the $30,000 to stop the foreclosure,
Right. Exactly. Okay.
But yeah, it's negotiable in real estate. It's just a matter of we don't want to go beyond 5 is the max we would go, but they're going to pay for that versus a 3. A 2 is their best option. A 2, maybe we'd only do a $4,000 option premium for a 2-year turnaround, because we know and they know they can do that with the right loan officer and the right planning of their own expenses. 3-year is normal, because just in case they have a bump in the road, we always set up a 3-year. And then a 5-year is doable, but not good for them, because now the option premium doubles.
Right.
And we don't want to be we don't necessarily know that market in 5 years, right? If we're holding it strictly for cash flow and bought it as a rental, then yeah, let's hold it 5 or 10 years and just, run the internal rate of return and blah, blah, blah. But for right now, we don't know what that market's going to do. There's already no volume, as Kim said. There's no churning in that market. There's not a lot of people buying there. 3 years is good for us. And if they don't do 5, they're going to pay for it.
Okay. So I guess, one second, I'm going to cough. So does 5 years ever make sense for an for a good market, like let's say Somerville? A 5-year lease option would be good, because you can, rate, based on the current market, even though it changes, would change, you'd get a better payoff as an investor, most likely.
Are you referring to, you mean the market always goes up every single year and will continue to go up for the next 5 years? Is that what you're saying?
The market will never drop, ever. Uh-huh. It's never done it in the past. It's never done it in the past, and it will never do it in the
future. Are you referring to speculation though, or cash flow, like the market appreciation?
Well, yeah. So the cash flow aspect of it, right? So with a lease option, you pretty much lock in the purchase price, right? And you can, figure out what the cash flow per month is. So would a longer term in the lease option deal be more beneficial to an investor rather than the tenant, or would it be more beneficial to the tenant rather than the investor, financially speaking?
Yeah, that's a good question. It depends on the market and the investor's wants, right? So if the investor wants cash flow and long-term cash flow is part of their plan, and they don't even want to sell the building, then yeah, maybe they just want that above market rent for 5 years. Is the tenant going to perform? Are they going to want to move out? Are they going to need to be evicted? Those are all question marks and variables there. If the market is going up like it is now, right? We're figuring that into account when we set our option price, market price, at let's say $220, right? So Kim came back with her ARV right now at $200,000. Now market is going up, but it's only going to go up for a while before it has to come back down again. So once the market, maybe it's going to be at 220 in 3 years. Maybe it'll still be at 200. Maybe it'll be at 240. Who's that benefiting? No one really knows, right? It's just sort of going to reach out and grab a guess as to what it's going to be worth in 3 years. Sometimes it helps the tenant. Let's say it's worth 240 in 3 years, right? They've locked in a 220 price, but they paid for it. They paid $5,000 for that. You brought up a great question, because it really all depends on market cycle, and it depends on the investor's wants and needs. If they want cash flow, they're going to buy a rental. They don't need to do lease options and churn these buyers and churn these option premiums. That's almost unethical if you think about it. If they want cash flow and they're doing lease option selling, because they're going to keep getting these option premiums every 3 years, but they know that the buyer either won't be able to purchase in 3 years, so they keep getting $5,000 or $2,000 or $10,000 every 3 years, or they just, if they want cash flow, just rent it. I don't know. That probably didn't answer your question either, but you bring a good question. You go both ways on that, depending on the market.
Okay. And I guess this is another question for I'm just gonna rattle them
I like
off.
how you had your list already, Jared. This is good stuff.
I honestly have no list in front of me. They're just coming off as you're speaking, and I'm just thinking.
Cool.
So I guess for this example, which as you said is most of the time a big no-no to do a seller leaseback,
Right.
because there's a lot of implications for that. What is I guess, is it legal, right? Because we were talking about the different, aspects of, well, they're losing equity and whatnot, and is it illegal to do that if we pay off while they're in a pre-foreclosure?
Yeah. Yep. So it's good. We can address that on this call for sure. Going over what you and I have already spoken about to address it for anybody watching. So in a short sale situation, which is really what we're seeing a lot in this market of people who want to live in their home post a short sale. So they want to do a lease back, or they want someone to sell it back to them later. Most of that has been done away with and made illegal. And especially with the documents that they and the buyers all have to sign prior to closing. So an arm's length transaction affidavit where all the parties involved, buyer, seller, buyer agent, seller agent, attorneys, it says right in there, no one knows each other. No one has a financial relationship with each other. No one has a familial relationship with each other. There will be no further benefit to anybody after the sale. Everything that is known is disclosed to that shorting lender. And if they all sign it, but there's a lease back in place, or they're planning on, buying personal property after the sale and giving cash back to that seller, like any of that is now considered fraud. And in the short sale world, they can actually, if they ever find out about it, which, is another question, but they can unwind that closing and go right back and literally take it away from whoever owns it at that point and say, this short sale was done fraudulently. The bank now is going to take this back and we can try doing it again, or, the bank's now going to own this because that was a fraudulent deal. In this case, so that's all short sale, pre-foreclosure, negative equity situations. In this case, Jared has brought, had a seller contact him in an equity situation, or supposedly an equity situation. We don't know yet. We don't have the payoff statements from her, but she was unaware. And Jared, I should let you tell the story, right? So do you want to frame it out for people? Like tell them the backstory and where we're at with the sale first.
Yeah, so I guess I'll condense it because it keeps getting larger and larger every time we talk to her. In a nutshell, she went through a divorce. The ex-husband was supposed to be paying the loan off for the house. They both reside on the deed and the loan. And she came to find out 2 years later that he had never paid the mortgage. And so as of now, they are quite a lot they owe a lot in taxes and legal fees and pretty much anything that you can think of for not paying the mortgage. On top of that, they also owe more money to clear the title of the mortgage, clear the title. So I don't know if I explained that correctly, but she's trying to live in the house because she can afford living in the house, but cannot afford to pay the money owed to clear title. I think that's better explained. Did I miss anything? I was trying to condense it. There's a lot going on there, so.
That's true. We had a Black Diamond Partners meeting the other night, and Jared got to lay all this out, and tried to do a whole diagram as to all the parties involved. But love triangles and whatnot are all part of this deal as well.
Still growing every day.
And it's growing every day for sure. Yep. So I guess that, where we're at now. So we ran the financial analysis on the deal. We reached out to a local broker contact up in Maine. One of I would say the best, not even one of, the best Maine broker that we have. I think her name is Kim Fowler. She's awesome. And I've known Kim for years and years and years. So we can't rely on, we don't have access to MLS up there, so obviously. So when we use Zillow and Realtor.com and Trulia, which are the worst sites in the world, anyone should be using in real estate. That's how Jared and I ran our initial analysis on the deal. But then Kim came back and gave us our actual after repaired value yesterday by running comps and by looking at the property, seeing the pictures from the property, that sort of thing. So her ideal situation, the seller, is that she wants to remain in that property and she would like to purchase it back. Right now, it's kind of sprung on her that this is in a foreclosure situation, and they do not have the $30,000 to come up with to stop that foreclosure. So she wants to sell the home to us, and if we can, in fact, give her, a lease back or sell or lease it back. And as Jared mentioned before, this is usually always a terrible, terrible, terrible idea, because if a seller is losing their home, chances are there's a hardship there. They can't afford to pay their mortgage because of some other issues, or loss of income, loss of job, medical, family emergency, that sort of thing. In this case, it was literally just sprung on her that her ex was not paying the mortgage. So here they are facing a foreclosure situation. And she and her new fiance and her father-in-law, with the disclosed income, all make more than enough money to be able to afford market rent for this house. So we came up with market rent. They came up with what they wanted to pay, which happened to be market rent. And we're going to be trying to structure this deal where we can purchase the property and then rent it out to them for the 3 years, with an option. They would have an option to buy the property at hopefully market value, or maybe even a little less than what market value would be projected to be in 3 years. That would be their goal. So they have built-in equity. We have cash flow for 3 years, and we make a little bit of money on the resale to them as well. That's the ideal situation. And then they end up with the house without obviously facing a foreclosure situation, with their credit repaired after 3 years, and hopefully with equity. So we call that a win-win, hopefully.
Right.
So that's the
And
layout.
for anyone who's curious on how could she not know that she was going to be in foreclosure, the ex-husband, so we've been told, said that she lived with him, and so all of the loan information went to him and none went to her. So she just assumed, because she had received nothing, that everything was A-okay, and then found out, what was it, New Year's Eve, that it was not A-okay. So that is why she didn't know and got sprung, just in case anyone's curious.
That's a good one.
Pretty bad New Year's Eve. I would not like that for myself.
That does suck for sure. I love it when I post this raw, Jared. It's going to be interesting because since you're hiding your face, it's going to be just a picture of my mug, I guess, for the last half hour. I don't know if that's going to go well. We'll see. I do not know.
We'll find out. I think it'll be great.
If it comes out, take this down. Let's put it to editing, and dress me up a little bit, make me look good. Okay.
Of course.
Excellent.
I mean, there's no need for that. But we'll do our best.
You're so nice. You're so nice to me. Cool.
So that's that.
I'm happy to chat with you about your stuff too. I've in a good way, with Rob out, I'm back in seller appointment mode. So I have another seller appointment today at 2:30 in Georgetown, Mass. This is a lady whose husband passed, and now she's looking. She actually had a friend of hers that bought from one of those iBuy guys out in Indiana, and because of the good experience that her sister had, she decided to call an iBuy guy. So we're going to head out and do an analysis for her, and give her, after we walk through, her motivation level is not really that high, but as we say in our business, we're here to help more than we are to purchase property. So we'll go out, assess the situation, see what we can do for her, run some numbers, and maybe she doesn't need us to buy the home. Maybe we can help her with a handyman or a clean out guy or a mover, and maybe she'll remember us next time that she has a deal. So that's AA Real Estate Solutions. Even if we can't buy, we still can help. How's that, Jared? Does that help you out in your business?
I was considering actually changing I have like a business slogan at the top of my page and just changing it to "We can help."
That's it.
Yeah.
This is a people business, not a sticks and bricks business, right? So we help people, and once in a while, if we can buy a property, that's how we pay the bills.
Yes, exactly. Just keep us afloat so we can keep helping people.
There it is. There it is. Nailed it. Cool stuff. Anything going on with you? Anything else?
Nope,
Where are your
just
other leads coming from? Should we go into that lesson? Never,
or
ever, ever, ever get emotionally involved in one deal. And Jared's very
yes.
excited about this deal. I'm excited that he's excited about this deal. But I'm telling him, don't put all your heart and mind into it because you will get crushed if something ever happens. And there's lots that can happen. So we always go, what's the next deal? What's the next deal? Where can I analyze? What can I do?
Yep. So I got mailers out right now. I got a lot of indirect stuff coming around, which obviously doesn't generate leads right off the bat, but for this case actually was indirect. I did get a couple of calls today, but they were all bogus calls. No real person. It was just kind of robot callers. Yeah, just a lot of stuff. The mailers I did send out, I found out that they actually came 15 days post the day they were supposed to come, so that was a little concerning.
Interesting. Really? They arrived 15 days or they were postmarked 15 days beyond when you processed?
So they were supposed to be processed April 25th and supposed to arrive May 1st. And I had actually sent one to myself for what's it called?
Yep.
Quality control.
Yep.
Quality control. And I received it May 15th. So tad concerning.
Yeah, for sure.
So I was just actually about to send out a follow-up 15 days after the first one. And I'm glad I did not hit the button because I decided I would do it when I got home. And I walked in to see the letter. And I said, wow, if I would have hit them right away twice. And sometimes that angers people. So
yeah, no, for sure. Did you contact them, find out what's going on yet or not yet?
I have not yet. I've been kind of running around crazy with a whole lot of things.
That's something I would hold them accountable for, just asking them what happened. Was there a manufacturing error? Was there a printing error? Was it just that it took 2 weeks to get up from Florida or wherever your processor is? It's just that's not cool. That's no bueno, as they say in the North Pole.
100%. Because then your lead times change drastically in that. And as you know, is in the current market, you need to be in front as soon as possible because everyone's going for something. So 2-week lag time is quite detrimental.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah. So that's all I got today. You doing anything else besides your seller leads? I know in your office when one person's out, it gets quite hectic.
Yes, that's true. Today, so the routine today, I had a meeting with a private lender this morning. That was pretty cool. He reached out to me because there's been a lot of our own people. I was very, very thankful this morning because there's been a lot of our own people, some students of the complete deal flow system, but also just random guys and people and ladies that we've done business with, I guess, kept giving me accolades to this random guy. And he just reached out to me. He's like, hey, all these people know you and thought you were cool, so I want to meet with you. I'm like, oh, that's nice. So I'm feeling the love today from everybody. It was really cool. Character and reputation are super important to me. So thank you all for who's watching this that have supported me or the firm in the past. It's really, really cool. And if I can give it back to you guys 1,000%, that's what I would love to do through deals or through coaching or through Q&As or through just lunches or whatever, networking events. So that was this morning. And then I rushed to the office to prep for the seller meeting. Contractor came in for the Friday check-in, and we're setting up a new project in Chelmsford for him to start. We have, the 7 active projects right now, Manchester, New Hampshire. We have Chelmsford, Mass. We have Lowell, Mass. We have Somerville, Mass. We have East Boston, which we are officially, it was a wholesale deal. We are under contract to sell that deal to an East Boston guy. Thank goodness. So that's good. We needed to raise some capital for some bigger upcoming projects that we have. And that's a day in the life, I guess, and meeting the seller and then doing some catch-up email work after the meeting the seller. So
Nice.
Day in the life here at AE Real Estate Group.
Super important question. Did you get your charger back?
Negative. No, laptop charger has been missing. And
All right,
Garcia,
Amazon order on the way.
what is it?
Amazon universal charger on the way.
No, it wasn't even on the way. I had to go to I had to go to Staples yesterday, and I got this. This is obviously not relevant to real estate, but apparently I have the only laptop in the world that takes a 165 watt AC adapter, and they only sell 65 and 90 watt adapters at Staples and Best Buy. So I picked up a 90. He said it won't fry my system, but it seems to work. It charges just slowly. So I don't know. That's what I'm using in emergency backup, but I don't think I'm going to find that other one. I think it's gone. Gonzo's.
Well, I'm going to send you an Amazon one that is 160 watts, and it's a universal. It'll be for anyone who's curious. Me and Nick had a discussion yesterday, and he doesn't believe there's universal chargers out there that can hold the wattage of his computer, and it will fry the motherboard. So I'm here to prove him wrong.
That's true. I did get a universal for the 90 watt. That's what I'm using right now. One of the connectors worked, so we're using that one. But it's very slow. It's not really working that hard. We'll see what happens. I'm surprised that it's working.
Learn something new. It's not the real. It's the tech realm. That's where I live right now. Hopefully not for long, but.
Good man. All right, I think this meeting is about to be kicking off and ending here, Jared. Any final words for the people?
Nope, I think that was it. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining. Check all social media because I'm posting it.
You're awesome. Cool, man. I will be posting this momentarily, and we'll catch you guys next week. Will be a podcast. That would be Thursday, again, at 2 o'clock. Mr. Jared uploads those for us, which is awesome. And we have our meetup this Tuesday night, 29th at 6 to 8 p.m., 120 Sparks Road in Lowell. We'd love to have you there. The garage and the 3-season porch are framed up, ready to go, ready to roll. So we're excited. Come on by. We'll have beer and wine, light snacks provided, and that's another prehab, a networking opportunity. So those are good events. Hopefully we'll get some people. So
looking forward to them.
Deal. All right, guys. I will check in with you guys next week. I'll see you at the meetup. Boom.
Got it.